Hello?
Hi, it's working. I just wanted to say thanks for coming. The food is ready, so just going to give folks a few more minutes to roll in, but if you haven't already, please help yourself to some drinks and grab some food. Definitely grab some food if you're drinking, because let's face it, for most of us here, drinking without food just tastes like pain and regret. So, yeah, take some time, get some refreshments, and then we'll probably get officially started in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
Take your plates with you because you'll need those.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. I am nervous AF right now. It is incredible to see so many of these faces that I haven't seen in so long. Some that I recognize and I've heard about, but don't know as well. But it is just, it's really great to have you all here. Thank you for coming to be here and to help us celebrate Connie and the gift that she was to all of us. Kendra and I are grateful for your presence, and I know that Connie would be so touched and honored to know that you are all here for her. So truly, thank you. I haven't cried today yet. It's probably time. Yeah, seriously, don't have any idea how I'm going to make it through this. But for Connie, because she's worth it, I am going to try. And, if I start blubbering and blowing my nose and making it weird, please just feel free to avert your eyes, go back, get a drink, grab a Miller Lite. I honestly never understood why Connie loved that crap, but she did. So please drink it. Emmett, thank you for making sure that was here. We appreciate you. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to mention when I was welcoming you all earlier. I'm sure you've noticed it on the tables. There's a bunch of snapshots around. Those are all intended to be shared. So a lot of them honestly are people I don't even recognize, but I'm hoping that people here do. So if you see a picture that you would like, please take it. They're meant for you to take. Okay. Got this. All right, Connie, let's talk about Connie. Crap. Okay. Connie was just truly one of a kind. She had this just indescribable spark. Those of you who knew her, you know what I mean. Just made people want to know her. She had that smile that could just light up a room, and that boisterous laugh that you could hear from across the room, and that was contagious. She was a selfless daughter and sister, a loving mother, a loyal friend, and the hardest worker I have ever known in my entire life. I'm sure most of you know Connie had an unparalleled work ethic. When we worked together at Sunnyvale Dispatch, that's how we met and became sister friends. She was everyone's favorite dispatcher, or favorite backup dispatcher. By the time it occurred to someone to ask for something, she had anticipated it and already had it done. She was relentless in her pursuit of information, and her efforts always made her entire team shine, which is what made her happy. She would work nonstop from the moment she arrived until the moment she unplugged at the end of her shift. And we always knew when Connie was on duty because her keyboard literally never stopped clicking. Ever. Like, ever, even during her break times. We would try to make her unplug and take a real break, usually to no avail. She was pretty obstinate and insubordinate in that regard. She just never stopped working because she never stopped caring. She sincerely cared about the work that we do at public safety, and she really, truly, genuinely enjoyed supporting and helping others. It was just who she was. She was the consummate professional. And she was also a consummate smartass. She was clever and had a wicked smart, sarcastic, and self-deprecating sense of humor that was both hilarious and endearing. She had a gift for always being able to find humor, even in the saddest and the bleakest of moments, oftentimes in completely inappropriate moments. And I think that's probably what I loved most about her. We laughed through tears more times than I can recall. Laughter was definitely Connie's specialty. She really was a riot, and she was such a good sport. So there was a 19-year age gap between us, which means that she was in her mid-40s when we became close and started hanging out all the time, which is only a few years younger than I am now. And since that time, I have gained some life experience and perspective, and I have come to realize that I owe her a huge apology. I was completely insufferable. We worked night shift together for several years, and we often hung out on our nights off. And there were multiple times that I, being the young whippersnapper that I was at the time, I'd show up at her house at like 9:30, 10 at night, and I'd be like, we're going out. I would insist, demand, without any sort of like room for argument, that we were going out and having buffalo chicken salads and drinks at TGI Fridays. End of story. And she would do it. It was crazy. She would answer the door wearing her robe and a towel in her hair. And after just a few minutes, with only very minor protest, she would be in the bathroom, blow drying her hair and sitting on the couch with her giant tub of makeup, reapplying while we laughed and joked around. And I just honestly can't believe now that she did that. I mean, listen, if somebody, I don't care who it is, if anybody showed up at my house at like 9:30, 10 at night trying to tell me that we were going out, I'd be like, the hell we are? I'm going to bed, get out of my house. But Connie was obviously much cooler and much more fun than I was. And we did spend plenty of nights at that bar at TGI Fridays or at the Duke of Edinburgh, laughing and talking for hours. She was an amazing listener, and she never judged me, even when I knew that I was ridiculous and I deserved it. Connie she was tough. She was burly. Seriously, the woman was strong. And I mentioned her work ethic. As a loving and devoted single mom, she did absolutely everything she could to provide a good and a stable life for her son. As I'm sure most of you know, though some may not, in addition to working in dispatch, she also worked for many years as a property manager for her landlord on her days off. She was the queen of DIY, and she definitely knew her way around a power tool shed. Be it painting, flooring, plumbing, appliance repair, she did it all. And her stamina was absolutely unreal. It is true that we spent nights hanging out at Fridays, but there were also plenty of times that I tried and failed to get her to come and take a break and hang out with me. And the only way that I could actually get her to spend time with me is if I just showed up at whatever property she was rehabbing at the time with a 6-pack of Miller Lite and an offer to help. And sometimes I did actually help, but some of you probably know I am clumsy. So she often didn't really want me to like get involved in the project, so I would just help by providing entertainment and distraction. But you know, in retrospect, it is becoming apparent to me that the close nature of our friendship is possibly due mostly to my obnoxious insistence that she be my friend and come out and play with me. It's fine. I have no regrets. As tough as she was equally sensitive, and she was compassionate, and she felt things really deeply, and she cared tremendously for the people in her life. She was fiercely loyal and was the kind of person who would drop everything to help a friend or a family member in need. She ended up retiring from Sunnyvale earlier than planned to move up to Oregon to take care of her mom, who was really ill at the time. And for years, she split her time between Oregon and California, continuing to do her per diem work in dispatch, her property management work in Cupertino, while managing both her mom and her son's various healthcare needs. And she would still somehow manage to make time for text messages and phone calls, because that was just the kind of friend that she was. And I really miss those chats. You're probably noticing a theme here, and it is not a surprising revelation to anyone who knew Connie. It is why we loved her, why we respected and appreciated her so much. Her life was defined by her sense of duty and service and sacrifice. She was always working and giving and doing for others. So much so that she almost never made time to extend that same care to herself. She swore that she would someday. Her dream was so beautiful and so simple. All that she really, really wanted to do was to one day finally actually retire and just spend time playing with her grandkids and watching them grow up. And she deserved to have that. When it was discovered that she had dementia, early onset Alzheimer's is what they ultimately diagnosed her with in late 2021. And then when she ultimately came back to California in March of 2022, everything was different. Those of you who have been touched by dementia know what I mean. So many of those qualities that, I mentioned before were just changed, as were her focus and perspective. The dementia was already pretty advanced at that point, but for a while she was still able to have some very serious and difficult conversations about a lot of things. And as the reality of her situation sank in and she was starting to lose her grasp on the life that she had known, she became a bit frantic and desperate to hold on to it. She expressed unbearable sorrow time and again about not being able to spend that time that she wanted to with her grandkids. She loved them and you, Melvina. She was also absolutely terrified that she would be forgotten. She really regretted not being able to spend more time with the people that she cared about. A lot of you in this room, actually. But you should know that she told stories about you and she talked about you, and she missed people all the time. She would ask how people were doing. But she was sure that she would be forgotten, and she begged not to let that happen. And I assured her repeatedly that forgetting her was definitely not a possibility. So it's really satisfying to see so many of you here today helping me prove her wrong. And I really, really wish that I could tell her I told you so. Being with Connie the last few years has been difficult, no doubt, but I am truly grateful for every single moment that I was able to share with her. Yes, I'm thankful that she finally got me to sit and watch the entire series of West Wing, all the way through, back to back, almost 4 times. I'm pretty sure that my husband and daughter will hide the remote from me if I ever try to watch that show again. Anyway, I think that if Connie... I wanted to mention, I'm sure that you all have seen the, on the cards, and we had at the front, the poem and you've noticed the purple theme. There was a poem that she loved. It's called Warning. When I am old, I shall wear purple. It was basically written from the perspective of a woman who was just full of life and humor and vitality, and who had all of these fun ideas and things that she wanted to do that were silly and whimsical, but she knew that someday she would do those things. But for now, we had to be responsible and be adults and pay the bills. But someday. I really think that if Connie could be here with us today, and if she could urge us to listen to the wisdom gained from her life experience, I think she would probably tell us one thing. I think she would say, don't wait. Don't wait for someday. Don't count on eventually. Sure, working hard and planning for the future is important, but none of us know for certain how many tomorrows we have. So live today. Love your people today. Chase your dreams today. Take the risks, take the vacations. Can't even see my freaking notes. Make the memories. Take the much-needed breaks. Prioritize yourself and your health and your well-being. And maybe for you that means setting some new boundaries and learning to let some things go, but whatever it is, do it. Just don't wait for someday or even tomorrow, because our lives are happening right now, today in this moment. As I share these stories and my own memories of Connie, I do so humbly, because while I know that we certainly did share a special bond, I know that I'm far from the only person who loved her and who also shared special bonds with her and connections throughout the years. So many, like I mentioned, she would talk about and ask about. I know that most of you are here because you too have been touched by her in big ways and small. So, if you will, raise your glass with me, and let's toast. Let's toast to Connie. May she always, always live in our hearts. To Connie. In the spirit of remembrance and in the spirit of helping me continue to prove her wrong, I would like to invite anybody who would care to share any thoughts or memories or stories about Connie. I know that there are a lot of good stories of her out there. She was hilarious, so I hope that you will share them. And again, please, if you see a photo that you like, please don't hesitate to take it. Don't forget her. Thank you. Anyone want to come up? I love you too.
Okay, so heads up, the only way to get me to stop talking is to have somebody else volunteer. So start thinking about what you want to say about Connie, but Sandy's absolutely right. The purple, everything, the purple clothes, purple whatever, it reminds me of like the red hat gang. You know, when you turn into your 80s, and it's like, I will do exactly what I want, and good luck stopping me. So she used to come and work at Sunnyvale wearing footed pajamas. No problem. You wear your footed pajamas all day. Connie and I bonded over many things, but we bonded over many things, but a couple of them were the West Wing. Like, we were both huge fans of the West Wing. We couldn't wait for the weekly episodes. We talked about it at work, and we both fully agreed that a civics professor could teach an entire class of civics based on the West Wing. Waffle House on and took the chance of theft. They said, this is not for sale. She took it at the big tip, hoping she wouldn't get in trouble. So we bonded over a lot. We bonded over Waffle House, we bonded over West Wing. I tell stories. I'm still in the 911 world, even though I'm not Sunnyvale anymore. But I'm in dispatch centers all over the country. And I tell people about Connie. I don't mention her by name, but we talk about this incredible dispatch detective that used to work with me. And I challenge people to step up and be that kind of curious dispatcher and solve crimes and be in front of whatever's happening. And it resonates. Connie's legacy will live on, Sandy, even if not in her name, in her spirit, because those of us that knew her are still out there talking about her and teaching what it is she taught me. So I just, I don't see hands coming up. Anybody else ready? So I got one more thing. Just only have a minute. When I think of Sandy, I think about how humble and humbling she was at the same time. She had, as Sandy mentioned, self-deprecating humor of herself. And it just, she was so clearly humble in her attitude toward herself, but at the same time excelled. She was so darn good at what she did. And I would sit back and I'd be humbled by her example of her work ethic. And just admired her humility at the same time. I miss her. Love you, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This was a lot of work. Kendra, wherever you are, thank you. Hand it off.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything they would like to share? Any memories? Any scandalous stories? Come on, I know that there are some out there.
So my name is Teresa. I dispatched with Connie from when San Jose opened the comm center in 1990 until she left for Sunnyvale. So when San Jose opened that comm center, almost all of us didn't know each other. We had people from San Diego, we had people from County Comm, people from Santa Barbara, all over coming into this dispatch center. And we really didn't have a bond, except that none of us knew what to do with this new computer system. So we were probably about, I don't know, maybe 6 months into this project, and one of our other dispatchers, Connie and I had partied a little bit together, and one of the other dispatchers had gone, her mother was in San Diego having not a big deal surgery. Well, she died in the surgery, the mother did. And so the daughter went down to San Diego, and then she called Connie, and she goes, I'm down here with nothing but a toothbrush, and I'm going to have a funeral to go to just a few days. So Connie says, not a problem. We'll go over to your house. We'll get your dress, your shoes, your panties, whatever you need. And we did. We went over to their house, and we got a suit for her husband, and a tie, and some shoes, and all the stuff. And we got in the car, and we drove. Connie drove those three all the way down I-5 to San Diego, 90 miles an hour. I thought I was going to die. I thought I'd never see my kids again, and this was going to be the end of everything. We made it there probably an hour before that funeral, because she made a commitment. I'm going to get this stuff down, and I'm going to do it. And boy, she did. So we drove down there. They had the funeral. An hour later, we're back in the car, code 3 all the way back home, because we got to pick up the kids. So, you know, she just, when she was your friend, man, it was like solid as a rock. And there was nothing that she wouldn't do to make sure that business got done. As a side note, you're talking about work ethic. I one time saw her run 422 combinations for a plate where they were missing one alphabet letter, but we weren't sure where it was in the sequence of events. or was that 5, really a 3, but we were looking for a 72 Toyota someplace in San Jose, and she ran them all and looked through them until she found that car. So, pretty amazing woman, and we're really going to miss her.
Thank you.
My name is Paul. 1971, I was hired to be a call taker, which was long before 911. In San Jose, it was 297-3565, and you could call it, hit the police or the fire or whatever you might need. It was pretty cool as a 20-year-old kid to answer the phone and say, "Says a policeman to help you." I mean, if you're 20 years old, that's pretty cool. And so after a few months, they realized that I liked to talk. So they moved me into the other room, and I was trained to be both police and fire dispatcher. I bring that up because that's why I have admired our dispatchers throughout my entire career. 4 years later, I became a cop, and so I appreciated them even more based on my prior experience. When you're a sergeant and you're taking care of teams and things are hitting the fan every day, you need somebody like Connie to be on your channel. Her instant recall was amazing. We could be in the middle of a major case, and she'll say, "Well, you know, that guy had a red car 2 weeks ago, and the license plate has got it on." And she'd look it up and find out more details. It was just amazing that she was able to do that with her instant recall. It was smart. One time, we were having coffee, and I was complaining about having to hire a restoration company because we had a pipe break behind the wall, behind my washing machine. And she says, "Well, don't call anybody, I'll come over there and take care of that for you." I mean, she was that good and running all the apartment complexes up and down the street where she lived. She could do plumbing, carpentry, especially painting, just like Sandy mentioned. I wanted to bring it up again because that was her side job. We all tend to have side jobs in our careers. I certainly have mine. But anyway, I wrote a couple of letters of commendation for Connie, and I know a whole lot of other sergeants did as well. You can almost write one for her every day, but I thought 2 was enough. She could have earned a hell of a lot more. I know she earned a lot of other awards when she was at San Jose Police Department. And then all of a sudden, Sunnyvale stole her. And we weren't really happy about that. You guys got to know her and love her and respect her as we all did too. She was very special. Thank you.
Robin.
Gomez, you're new. She was our crime tracer, our lead. She was it all. She'd find anybody and anything, and I called her my dispatch wife, because I was always in trouble. She was always nice to me. She'd find stuff for me. She'd call me up there, "Hey, I got to fix that guy for you. I've already done. These are all the cars registered to him. This is all the addresses. He's associated to." Or I'd go up there and say, "I can't find this guy." She'd lead me the way. So I got her a big gumbo ring with a big fake diamond on there. And said, "We're married."
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
So, public speaking has never, ever been a thing for me. Like, I've never gotten nervous. There's a lot of teaching. When I was in high school, I was on the debate team, and I would do speeches in front of people, and I never got nervous. Until I got promoted, and spoke in front of a room full of cops. And then I got nervous. I tend to write things down and then don't follow them at all, so I'm gonna hold on to this, but I'm probably not gonna read it. But I just want to tell you a little bit about my relationship with Connie. My name's Kendra. I met Connie in Reno. She was working for Reno PD at the time. And there was an advertisement back in the old days in the want ads for a babysitter. So I was 15. I didn't have a car, I couldn't drive yet, I had a broken leg, and I went with my dad to meet Connie and Glenn and Aaron, and she interviewed me and hired me. So it was my first job. A lot of firsts with Connie. I worked for Connie for a couple of years and really grew to love her. I loved the whole family. They were warm and they were welcoming and they were hilarious. She had such a wicked sense of humor. And I enjoyed watching her be a mom to her little boy. I'm sure she didn't love me as a babysitter because I stole a lot of her food. I ate a lot of her food when I was there. I didn't have any siblings, so she was kind of like a big sister to me. I made the mistake one time of saying she was like my second mom, and she was not happy about that. She did not think that was funny. So now I call her like a big sister, but she was about 15, I think, about 15, 20, 16 years older than me. And then she moved away. We moved to Pacific Grove. She was working in Monterey Bay for a little bit, and I joined the Army at 17. And I went to visit her in Pacific Grove, and then came back home and then packed up my stuff when I turned 18 and I was moving to California. So I ended up in Cupertino. And my mom said, you know, I think Cupertino's not too far from Monterey. You should get in touch with Connie again. It's been about a year since I talked to her. And I looked her up, and she lived 1 mile from me in Cupertino. So it was just meant to be. So we reunited. I was planning to be a nurse. My bedside manner probably isn't cut out for that. But she recruited me to San Jose PD. So here I am, 19. I think I was the youngest at the time. I remember getting relentless hell for coloring at night because I couldn't, a little bit of ADHD, so it was slow on midnights, and so I would color, and you bitches would give me a hard time about it. And now, look, there's adult coloring books for stress relief. I was onto something. I could have made $1 million. But Connie recruited me, and she was my mentor for the whole time that I worked there. She was my friend, and my favorite thing would be, we have a big control room. Sunnyvale, your control room was probably, I don't know, a quarter of the size of San Jose, maybe even smaller. So you knew Connie was in the room, right? You could hear that laugh from across the room. She had just this life about her, this big laugh, no matter how stressful life was getting for her. And I think about how hard it must have been for her to be a single mom with not very much support, working in one of the most expensive areas of the country, trying to provide for Aaron, trying to make a good life and opportunity for him. She worked her fingers to the bone to do that. She still maintained that sense of humor. And as time went on, I became a cop. I'd had enough of the dispatch days. I still maintain call taking was the absolute hardest job I've ever done. I remember the first time someone called me the C word, and I thought that my head was going to explode, and there was nothing I could do about it. What your call takers and dispatchers do on a day-to-day basis is unimaginable for most of you. And not that, cute. Anyway, so she went to Sunnyvale, but I will tell you that no matter what time of day, I never showed up to go party. I was always kind of a dud in that respect, so Sandy took that, to the next level. But I would call her, and if you've ever had a conversation with Connie, you know that a 1 hour conversation became a 2 hour conversation because there were so many interruptions. She would be like, hold on, and she'd talk to Aaron, drop something, let me call you right back. It was always a drawn out thing. I don't know if you remember those days, but she would always pick up the phone. She would always listen and give me words of advice. And she would always make me laugh. And, I have so many regrets because when you kind of give up after a while. She's so damn stubborn and wanted to do everything herself, never wanted help, you know? People wanted to help her, and she would just say, no, I got it, I got it, I got it. And so watching her work her fingers to the bone, watching her work 2 and 3 jobs, watching her work 60, 80 hours a week, watching her drive to Oregon and back to take care of her mom and to take care of her family was heartbreaking. I kept thinking, like, when is she going to slow down? When is she going to get to take a vacation? I remember one trip with Connie. We saw Thunder Down Under. You were there for that, right? It was the only trip I ever got to take with her. And actually, I might have already been there visiting my parents when you guys came, but I always wanted it for her, what we all want, right? Some fun, some self-care, some freedom to do the things you enjoy. She just never, ever got it. She never got it. Connie was also a crime fighter. I remember one, maybe it was the same one, Teresa, I'm not sure, but I remember there was a child that had been hit in a hit and run and killed. And she, you know, we would all like take our breaks, go down the hall, go pee, make a phone call, get something to eat. She never did any of that. She would, on her breaks, be running plates, running variations of plates. And I remember her teaching me so much about that. She told me how the DMV, when they issue license plates, there's like a geographic pattern, and she had figured it out. She was like, look, run this combination, those plates are issued here in San Jose, so we're probably on the right number letter combination. We just gotta keep trying. She was brilliant in that way, and she would spend every free moment between calls to try to solve the crimes, and she never wanted credit. She was just satisfied to know that she did it, passed the information off. She wanted someone else to get the credit for the pinch. But that woman solved more crimes than probably anyone in this room. She was tenacious, she was smart, and she was hardworking. And she had a lot of humility and grace and self-deprecating humor. There's a story she told me that I'm not going to tell today. I thought about it. But when I think of the story, it makes me wish that I had been the same age as Connie and grew up with her and spent my 20s with her, because I think she was a hilarious person. If you know Connie, you know about her love of animals. When I met her, she had Cy and Shammy, her black and white kitties. So when I see black and white kitties now, that's what I think about. I found a stray dog in District Charles on the east side of San Jose. I brought it to Connie. She took it and named it DC for District Charles. She had that dog for a long time. And then there was Niles, baby boy. Anybody know about Niles, baby boy? On one of Connie's many trips to Oregon, she would always pack the car full of her animals. She would drive her vehicle all the way up to Klamath Falls area, wherever it is, with all of her pets in the car, and then she'd drive back. Well, on one occasion, she was driving home. She was somewhere in the East Bay, Oakland area. She heard a noise. That was weird. Continued on her way, and it wasn't until she got home that she realized that Niles, baby boy, her beloved kitty, had likely stepped on the button that opens the window and had flown out of the car onto the freeway. And she went back to that section of the freeway, I don't know, every opportunity she could for weeks, putting posters up, looking for Niles, baby boy. And when it came time to clean out Connie's condo, I found all the flyers, because also, if you know Connie, you know she never threw anything away. She had every check she had ever written. I think we had 4 giant tubs full of checks and old receipts for the last 3 years in my storage area. So I found all the flyers for Niall's baby boy, and it made me think about it. What was awesome is that she could laugh about it, about Niall's flying out the window. Not right away. Too soon? Apparently Lisa made a joke too soon. Not funny. Sandy mentioned the big makeup bin. And so there are things that throughout my days I run across that remind me of Connie, so I know she'll never be forgotten. And one of those is the pink and green Maybelline mascara. That was her go-to brand, and I have vivid memories of her sitting on that couch in her little condo doing her mascara. She had this like old sewing bin basket thing that had like a floppy lid on it, and it was full of makeup. And we would have lots of talks in that spot while she put on her makeup, because for a while I lived with her. I had a breakup that went sideways. She offered me a place to live, and I stayed with her for a while, and I got to watch her in her mom mode, in her big fluffy down white robe mode, and I really got to spend some quality time with her during that. She was like a big sister to me. She was loving and devoted and hardworking, and I will forever feel her loss in my life. I didn't have siblings. She was the closest thing I had to that. And I'm not going to spend today talking about how her life came to an end, other than to say more firsts for me. I've been with a lot of people as they were dying. In our jobs, we do that. I've listened to people die on the phone. I've seen people die in the field. Most of you have. But I've never sat with someone as they were dying who was important to me. And I was so grateful to have Sandy with me day after day. We sat with her. We kept waiting, like, when's it going to happen? But as you know, she's the most stubborn person you've ever met. She held on far longer than we thought she would. And in the last hours, I had my hand on her diaphragm. She would stop breathing a little bit for a couple minutes, and then she'd breathe again. Up until the end, she just had us on our toes, you know. But what a privilege it was to be with her in her last breath, and I will always cherish that, because I think that's important, to have people you love with you. I will choose to remember Connie whenever I hug somebody, and I lift my leg and wrap it around them. Because if you know Connie, and you'll see many pictures like that, that was her signature hug. When I hear the name Niles, of course, I will think about Connie and her Niles baby boy. When I'm ever in possession of a straw, I shall wear it like a mustache. If you know Connie, she always did that. When I'm in the presence of a toddler, I will crack an egg on their head and use my fingers to simulate it running down. And if you know Connie and ever saw her with children, she always did that. It wasn't a real egg. Most of all, I will work hard, but I will remember to take time out for self-care and for play, for celebration and vacation, and all of the things that she didn't have the chance to do. I want to thank everybody for coming today. I know it means a lot to her to know that you're here, to know that she's been remembered, and I know that she's with us. If anybody else wants to come up, the mic is yours.
My name is Lisa Gannon, and I'm kind of sandwiched in between Kendra and Sandy as far as friends go. We got hired at San Jose PD in 1990 as dispatchers, and as Teresa talked about, we came from all over. I came from Tucson, Arizona, where I had been a dispatcher for 9 years, and we have this massive academy of 100 people, and Connie and I gravitated toward each other, and once we got released, it was very difficult. I was telling somebody it was like the streets in San Jose. I'd never even heard of them. And Chenoweth and Geobrita, and we were like trying to learn a foreign language over the phone, is what it felt like. And the county people were so good, and they thought we were so stupid because we just could not get it. We couldn't get the computer system. And Connie, bless her heart, you know, she'd start digging into stuff, and we all had these manuals that we created, these books that we created, and mine was just like a sheet of paper. And then Connie would come in for her break, and she'd bring in like a library book full of stuff. It had codes, it had APBs in there, it had everything from fucking 20 years ago that she thought might be important for her job. I mean, she took it absolutely so seriously. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for most of us. But I tried to get Connie to go out a lot. And when I would hear about this Sandy person, I'm like, who is this person? I can't even get you to go out for dinner yet, you know. TGI Fridays all the time, and so we did get her to a couple parties.
Now you know it's because I forced her.
Yeah, I don't know. We had a couple parties at my house because I was 27 when I got hired, and they were like ragers, I would say, my poor neighbors. And so Connie did come to one of those and got the drunkest I have ever seen her. So I go into my bedroom, and I think she may have gotten sick in there. And I come in, and she's in the bathroom trying to wash the sheets. And I said, nobody gives a shit about the sheets. Just put it down and, you know, come back out where we're throwing M&Ms at each other. And it was a rental, so we didn't care. But Connie was a beautiful person inside and out. And when they talk about her laugh, it was more like a guffaw, because it would start out with this, you know, like she would just, and then she'd realize that she was actually in the presence of other people, so she would try to tone it down a little bit because she was kind of embarrassed, and we were at work. And she was a remarkable person, and so I was in between Shammy and Cy, and I was Tippy Dog. That was my era. And so she'd be on the phone with Aaron, and she'd be working another 16-hour shift or something, and she'd have to go home and let Tippy Dog out and make sure that Aaron had something to eat. But I think Aaron was actually raised on phone calls as Connie was driving back and forth to work. The mascara, she actually got to a point where she would just put it on the way to work because she was there so often. And as far as self-care goes, I asked her one time, because I'm just that tacky, I'm like, how much do you spend on your hair? Because her hair was perfectly coiffed all the time. Perfect color, perfect style. And no shit, it was like $400. And that was back then. That was like 2010, 20. I'm like, holy cow. So maybe she was working on that overtime just to pay for her hair. But the story about Niles going out the window, when she told me that story, I laughed so hard. And Connie was so mad. It was way too soon. Way too soon. But I just thought, who else could that happen to? You know, except you. And then she told me that CHP stopped a couple times when she was out on the side of the freeway checking the oleanders for the cat. And I'm like, Connie, the cat's gone, all right? I don't think so. She was a beautiful person, but I think, you know, a lot of the credit for today and for Connie having a peaceful place to pass away goes to Sandy and Kendra. I mean, they don't talk anything about what they did when, you know, when Connie showed up here and had already started to lose her faculties, was confused, and the lengths that these two women went to make sure that she had a place to live, that she was safe and cared for, and financially she was going to be able to pay her stuff until the end of her life. And talk about gratitude for friendship. I mean, I can't imagine any of my friends doing what they did for her, and you're both angels. You really are.
Anyone else want to come up and say anything?
All right, well, thank you all again for being here and for sharing your memories, for thinking about her, for remembering her, and honoring her with your presence. We're so grateful. Let's talk. There's no rush, but, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's cupcakes in the back. There's little mini buns, which Connie loved, and she had to call them the boons. So, please have some boons before you go. Thanks again, everyone.